Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Monday night live stream. As promised, we are going to be talking about Batman. We're going to be talking about all things Batman. Well, I don't know how much of all things Batman we're going to be talking about, but we're going to be talking about as much as we can get to this evening. And as always, let me bring on my co host, and then we have a special guest, but you probably might already know who our special guest is because we have talked before about this program coming up, so you might have an inkling of an idea of who our special guest is this evening. Thrash Pondo Pons, how you doing, my friend?
I am relatively not unwell, thank you for asking.
I like that. Relatively not unwell, that's better than horrible, right?
It is, and I'm going to grind that into the dust now because it's now my new catchphrase until I can think of another one, which I will then grind into the dust.
Okay, all right, well, it sounds good. Well, let's bring on our special guests. Anybody want to take a guess who our special guest
Oh,
is? I'm
oh,
gonna give
oh,
you
oh, oh, oh.
you don't count, I'll give everybody like a second. I'll give everybody a second to guess who our special guest is.
Or a third.
Yeah, there's no guesses. There's no guesses. Well,
They know who it is.
it's none other than YouTube's older brother, Dave Sunstrom. I hope you don't mind that moniker. I like that moniker a lot. I kind of feel like you've been a mentor to us. Uh,
I appreciate it. It's a great way to be referred to.
yeah. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be where I am without your guidance and your help. And I think a lot of people right now could say that about you. So, thank you very much.
Well, you're very very welcome. And selfishly, the thing I love about this is 6:30 Mountain Time every Monday night. I have something to watch now that's much better than anything on television.
Right, right. At least live, right? Well, as the topic is going to be tonight, and I just want everyone to know too. Dave and I were kind of talking about this off screen, and I've kind of made this decision as well. I'm going to pare down to kind of more or less one guest, maybe other than a special occasion. So if I ever get like the Glitter Boom girls back again, of course there'll be that. But yeah, I mean, I kind of come to the conclusion that when you get like three or four or five people, you start talking over each other and stuff like that, and it kind of distracts from the conversation rather than adds to the conversation. But that said, our guest tonight is Dave Sunstrom, as you all know, and he is a megalomaniac when it comes to Batman, as you can see by the picture on the wall back there. What's that picture of? Let us fill us in on that picture back
There's
there.
multiple pictures there. If you'll notice, right above my head,
Okay.
we've got a storyboard as well as a limited edition cell from Batman the Animated Series. To the side of that, you'll see a cowl framed that my wife had commissioned and had it made,
Oh, wow.
and which was very kind of her. She actually bought the animated series storyboard and cell as well. She humors me. And then to just below the cowl, you've got a picture, a signed autographed picture of Adam West and Burt Ward that Danny Staten sent me.
Oh, wow.
Very kind of him.
That's really awesome. I'm getting the vibe that you're a fan of Batman.
I am a big Bat fan.
I am too. He's often credited as one of my two favorite superheroes, Spider-Man being the other one, and Batman, obviously. I mean, since I was a kid, loved Batman. I just want to let you know before we get into the topic tonight, everyone, that we're going to be talking about all things Batman, ranking it, where it fits in, what we like, what we dislike about it, and even the new Batman. And so we're going to be obviously exploring outside the Gen X genre of growing up Gen X. So, I mean, we're going to 2000s are on the table. The modern ones on the table, and also there are going to be spoilers ahead as well. I am not a spoiler-free channel. I'm just not. I'm just here to kind of speak my mind and tell you what I think, and I want my guests to speak their mind and not be terribly guarded, at least in what they want to bring up and what they want to talk about. So we'll be talking about that, just so you know. But before we get to that, we want to say hi to the fans who are here. Thrash Pondo, let us know
I
who's here.
I will take it away and book her, as the saying goes. Let's see. Oh, hang on. I didn't highlight that. Here we are. Lance Chapman says, "Hiya, Ian and Thrash," and I'm assuming
Lance.
also going to say hi to Dave as well.
Oh yeah, I did. I think that came up before they knew Dave was here. But
Indeed it
yes,
did.
Lance, glad you could make it.
Hungry Jerk says, "Hi, Lance." Well, hi to you too.
They're chatting back and forth in the channel there. That's really great. I really enjoy the fact that there's a lot of fellowship here in the chat channel.
As do I. Oh, Kenneth Wilkinson says, "Good evening, Lance." Wow, Lance
Lance,
is
the
very
popular
popular.
guy. What are we doing here? All right. Yes. Hi, Kenneth. Glad you could be joining us for the show as well.
And Tracy Ruth Myers kicks in with her. It sure was, Lance.
Well, I'm getting a theme here.
And
Hey, Tracy. By the way, I didn't want to not say hi to Tracy. Hi, Tracy. Just how you doing?
Of course, of course.
Of course.
I wouldn't have put her up at that. That is indicative of the hello
Like
in my book.
we start talking about Lance too. We're like, duh. Go ahead.
John Collins in the house with a hello, everyone.
Now we got a hello, everyone. Hello, John Collins. Glad you could be joining us.
Hi to you too, John. And skipping down. Right now, I'm just skipping down through the hellos because I want to make sure we say hi to everybody. And here's one. Kevin Davis says, "Dave."
Kevin.
Kevin. Glad you could be joining us this evening as well.
And Kevin Tarrant says, "What up, homie? How you doing, my man? Just got here."
Right on, Kevin. Glad you can be joining with us this evening. I wonder where Spike Spikerson is too. Haven't seen him in the chat channel yet today. Hope he's all right.
And Kimberly, I'm going to butcher her last name, Weirhold says, "Anything is better than current TV."
Well, I got to agree with most of what you said there. Dave, what do you think? Is anything better than current TV?
Well, I'm kind of partial to TV from eras and decades gone by. That said, I'm not one of those that can't find anything good to watch on TV. There's still good stuff out there.
Sure.
And maybe 20, 30 years from now, I'll look back fondly, nostalgically on programming today.
Right.
But I suspect that I'll still probably look back to the 60s, 70s, and 80s, as the golden era of television.
Who else we got in the chat channel?
Number one dude says, "Ian the Thrash and Dave, oh my."
Oh my. Oh,
like George Takei. Oh my.
Oh my. I was doing more of a over the rainbow type situation from oh my, Ian and Thrash and Dave, oh my. And speaking of Mr. Staten, Daily Dan's the good stuff says, "I love spoilers."
I love spoilers too. I'm actually I don't know what it is, but I'm one of those people who can watch a movie, then watch it again, and I'm still in suspense for it. So I don't know. They don't really bother me a whole lot. I can nearly forget unless I'm like consciously remembering what somebody said to me when I sit in front of a movie and watch it. It just kind of sucks me in. So I don't know. I think did we say hi to pretty much everybody who's here?
That's all the hellos. That's all
I think
our
we got
fan base.
One more right there.
Darrell Johnson says, "Hey guys."
Hello, Daryl.
Daryl's great. He's always reminding folks to click the thumbs up button. So
Yeah.
I'll beat you to the punch, Daryl. Hey, folks, if you're enjoying this live stream, click on that thumbs up.
Yes, please do. By all means. Listen to our good friend Dave. He knows what he's talking
And
about.
Daryl.
Yes, and Daryl. All right, so let's get started. I mean, this is kind of an open discussion, but really, I'm going to break the mold here because I'm interested in telling you what I think about the new Batman, and I'm interested in hearing what you think about the new Batman, pros and cons. If I was to give you both Dave and Thrash here, I'm going to either one of you can respond to this. If I was going to give you a scale of 1 to 10, what would be your review of the Batman and why? Dave, go ahead. You go first. You're a guest.
I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. I really liked it. As a matter of fact, it's one of my favorite Batman motion pictures.
Mm.
But it's different, right? It's almost like I hesitate. It's the great thing about Batman as a character is that there are so many different iterations
Hmm.
of the Caped Crusader, and I even though I give it a high score of a 9 out of 10 because I really admired the filmmaking. I
Hmm.
admired the way this film was put together. I'm a big fan of Matt Reeves, the director. He did the Planet of the Apes reboots, and he's just excellent director. I thought what they set out to accomplish, which is to portray Batman as a detective
Hmm.
instead of just somebody that goes and punches people and beats them up, and you know. And
Right.
I love the message of where, since we're not spoiler free, folks, turn down the volume right here if you for just about 20 seconds if you don't want to hear this. But the message of him turning from a creature of vengeance to being something else, a symbol of hope. That was one of the primary messages in this new Batman movie. I loved it.
Hmm.
Now, that said, is this movie as much fun as watching Adam West and Burt Ward or even Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson? No.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. What made those films, do you think, more fun?
I think it's the way that they approach the characters. I mean, in particular, you look at Adam West and Burt Ward, and these guys, uh, it was camp at its very best. Which is, as a young kid, I loved it because I just thought it was the greatest adventure movie of all time, with all of the rogues gallery there, and then when we look at the Keaton Nicholson version, I saw John Collins' comment earlier about Batman '89 being a Nicholson starring vehicle. I agree with that comment, by the way. Nicholson did get top billing. That movie was joyous in its own crazy Tim Burton zany kind of way. And it was for all of us that wanted Batman to again have some legitimacy in terms of live action, whether it be TV or movies. It was a celebration of that. Those
Hmm.
two movies, as a matter of fact, if you think about it, and of course I was too young to really remember, but I've read about it. There were two big moments of Batmania in the U.S. over the course of the last 50 years. One was in '66, and the other was in '89. And I
Hmm.
remember '89. I lived '89. I
Yeah.
had like
Yeah.
10 Batman T-shirts. We had Adam West come to the college that I was attending. There was Batman posters and symbols everywhere. And I understand it was similar in '66, even though they were very different movies. But there was just something more fun about it. We've had so many versions of Batman now that this is an incredible movie. I really do love the Batman,
Yeah.
but it's just not as special, or for me, as fun as those two movies were.
Well, so in the one, like the you said 9 out of 10, that leaves one that you didn't like about it or didn't measure up. What would you say is the one part that didn't measure up?
Oh man, you know what? It was too long. I think Reeves could have made that into. It was so well done, and I forgive him for making a 3 hour movie.
Uh-huh.
And I the 3 hours passed relatively fast, but truth be told, that could have been easily a 2.5 hour movie tops. Even maybe a little bit shorter with some tighter editing, a few more scenes cut. Uh, I think that might be the other thing is I think Pattinson was great as, and the entire cast was good. They really immersed themselves in the characters more so
Yeah.
than maybe in some of the past iterations of Batman. But it's weird. I still, even though I think Pattinson was great as the Dark Knight detective, again, I won't say he's the best version, and that might be something that it holds it back a little bit as well. I do appreciate Playboy Bruce Wayne more than emo Bruce Wayne. It's just me.
Yeah, I have the same kind of feeling about it. Probably gonna hit on the same highlights. Thrash, I'd love to hear what you have to say about the new Batman.
Well, I would give it 8 out of 10, but I think I don't I'm not as nice a person as Dave, so I think I grade things a little more harshly. But I will say I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it had a whole lot of stuff going on, and it still managed to keep it comparatively tight. There were a few times where things got a little off the rails and they had to kind of pull it back in. But I thought they did a very nice job portraying the characters, portraying the drama, the interplay that brought all the stories together. They clearly have done their homework. They're a huge fan of the old Frank Miller comics, of other vigilante movies, particularly Fight Club and V for Vendetta. In fact, did you notice? And please correct me if I'm wrong out there. Did you notice the movie starts on Halloween? You know,
Hmm.
what better way to start a Batman movie than Halloween? It ends on November 6th. If I remember my English history properly, November 6th is Guy Fawkes Day, which of course was the whole V for Vendetta thing.
It's November
So,
5th. You're one day
ooh,
off.
ooh,
Sorry.
I was so close.
Remember the 5th of
5th of
November.
November.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, but
Thank
maybe,
you.
I mean, that could have been a correlation. I do see some correlation there for sure.
They did something that other Bat movies don't try to do, and I'm not sure I'm 100% in this, but they tried to tie in a lot of topical, or at least actual 21st century events into their subplot.
Hmm.
That may have gotten it didn't get preachy, but I think it may have muddled the mix a little. I did like the fact it's set in present day, but it feels dystopian. You know, it's our world, but a different take on the world. It's our world, but one that is an ugly and unfamiliar world, and I thought that worked very, very, very well. So altogether, I was very impressed with the movie.
Gotcha. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, I'll give you my take real quickly, and then I want to get to some of our comments before we go on to other emanations, and then talk about like I really kind of want to. The next thing I want to do is talk about like where we fit into the story, like why Batman was so exciting and compelling to each one of us. Um, so, but before I do, I have to give it, and probably between the two of you, I'd probably be like an 8.5, maybe even a 9 out of 10. I did love the story. I thought it was intriguing. I like the fact that he was more of a detective in this one. But and I thought I really thought the actors did well. I mean, I thought they did really really good. The downside for me was I think the emo thing with Bruce Wayne was a little weird. Instead of being the mansion party boy that Bruce Wayne's supposed to be, he kind of came off as the loner, and that's to me that's not Bruce Wayne. That's just not that character. I don't mind people playing characters dark, but there's a difference between being dark and not being that character at all. So I thought his character as the Batman was really good. I thought he did excellent, but his character as Bruce Wayne wasn't quite up to snuff, in my opinion. The other thing I did not care for about it is the portrayal of the Riddler. Um, I get that people want to go dark with the Riddler, but dark again, it was almost a different character. And it's not that I didn't like the character. I think the character was a good character. It pushed the story along well, but is in what universe to me is that the Riddler? I don't have a universe where the Riddler is basically the Zodiac killer. I don't have that in my mind. He's an eccentric individual. Is can you make that eccentric individual dark for sure, but making him basically a copycat of the Zodiac killer who just more tells riddles, to me was a little bit distracting. Other than that, I thought it was great. I thought Catwoman was awesome. I loved the interplay between Catwoman and Batman for sure. Um, I liked Commissioner Gordon. I just think it was a really good story, and I think that they did good at continuing that dark theme, which is so popular right now. They didn't take a chance and try to make everything bright and fluffy again, like what they did with the Spider-Man reboots, but they made it, dark. But let's take a couple of audience questions and see what we all have to say about the audience questions or the audience feedback, and then I want to get into our personal stories. Why is Batman so compelling to us, and what's been our favorite emanation?
Gotcha. John Collins says, I have a hot take on Batman 89. This was his comment from earlier. It was really just a star vehicle for Jack Nicholson. He was the star of that movie. That is the truth, and we all know it. And if we didn't know it before, we know it now. And Dave has already weighed in on that, so yes.
Right on, right on. Well, I don't really have much to say other than that, other than I kind of agree with what everybody said. I'm trying to figure out a one of the options here that doesn't put Dave in with the comments over his face, but I can't
Drop
figure
me to
that.
the bottom. I'm the one reading the comments anyway. Can you shift?
I don't know. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I don't think you can unless you drop out and come back, and we don't need that. We don't.
Yeah.
Need to do
All
that.
right. I'm
It's
just
all
gonna keep
good.
it.
Don't worry
Okay.
about it.
All right. I'm gonna keep it here.
Okay. Lance Chaffin says Adam West hands down the one and only.
Yeah, I mean Adam West is in there, is in the running, but
It's a
not.
bright night. I love him, man.
There's going to be a special place in my heart for Adam West for sure.
Trey Ross Myers reiterates, my only Batman is pure West.
Well, yeah, I
that.
mean, I like Adam West. Is he pure? Is he the only Batman for me? No, we'll find out in a moment. But he might be the only Batman for some of you out there for sure.
Kevin Davis says, I liked Christian Bale version of Batman.
What do you think, Dave? Please chime in here.
On Christian Bale, I think he's an excellent actor, and I think he did a great job as Batman, and maybe even better as Bruce Wayne. I thought his Bruce Wayne was wonderful. That said, I think what we're seeing here is that everybody has a favorite Batman, and I certainly have mine, and no answer is wrong. There's no wrong answer here because, there have been so many different iterations of Batman that we can all find the one that we enjoy the most, and we've probably tied personal memories to that version of Batman too. We all have things that were happening in our lives when that Batman was most prominent, and that probably plays into the reason why he's our favorite as well. So I really admire Bale as an actor, and I'm excited to see he's in. Which movie is he going to be the bad guy in? It's a new superhero movie. Is it the Doctor? Is it the new Doctor Strange one that he's the bad guy in it?
Maybe.
It might be, but I'm not 100%
yeah,
sure.
Bell is. Oh no! It's Thor. It's the Thor movie that comes out in the summer. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for that yet, but yeah, Bell's the bad guy, and that should be exciting to see. Yeah, he's a great actor. He's no Adam West, but he's a great actor.
Oh, Dave Cloran in the house. Hi, guys.
Hey, Dave. How
you doing?
And number one dude says, I heard only positive reviews of the latest movie, but I'm going to stick with Christopher Nolan films.
Why would you stick with it? I mean, we have those movies. I'll be watching, I'll watch The Dark Knight till the end of time. I'll probably watch that every 2 or 3 years. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to enjoy different versions of Batman as well.
Yeah, well said. I think I don't think it's a matter of having to choose.
We don't have to pick.
When it comes to me, it's really I like them. I like them all for different reasons, and I probably dislike them all for different reasons as well. So it's
darn Clooney.
Yeah. Well.
Dan Staten says, I love all the Batman stuff regardless of era.
Yeah.
Well said, Mr. Staten.
Right on. Yeah, they should call Clooney the one who should not be mentioned or something like that.
He's apologized. I've forgiven him.
I forgive him. Yeah, it's nothing. Well, there's nothing to forgive. It's not, I mean, are we all like so damaged?
Well, like I said, I only forgive him because he has formally apologized, and so we should accept his apology and forgive him.
Yeah. I totally agree. But to me, it's like there's nothing to forgive. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, you did a movie.
Well,
it was bad. We didn't like it. Let's move on.
yeah.
I mean, it's not like, people just, they act. That's all they do. They get films and they act, and sometimes it turns out good.
Right. And the funny thing about that is that, he didn't write the story. He didn't direct the story. He was an actor.
Yeah.
And he did his best that he could in that movie. Now, of course, we didn't see any more versions of Batman for a number of years after that because of the disaster that was Batman and Robin.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Kevin Davies even says, well, except for the Clooney as Batman. Yes. It's funny. The man was in Return of the Killer Tomatoes, and he still says publicly the only film he has ever made he's ashamed of is his portrayal of Batman. So I think he sees it as his own personal low. So even if, as you say, there's nothing to forgive, I think he himself just wants to forget it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Now, little trivia for you, Thrash, or a question. Have you seen Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
Yes. I've seen Attack. I have both of them buried in my video collection somewhere.
Nice.
I own both films. Yeah, I said the original one from '78, which was. I'm trying to remember. I was just talking to somebody about that. They had a great fun fact. I can't think of it to save my life. I'll revisit if I can think of it. Go ahead.
I just remember the song. There was like Attack
the Killer Tomatoes. Yeah. And the guy who plays the real crazy guy in the original Bob Newhart show, the one who had no filter, was always speaking his mind and insulting people, he has a small part in it. And there's another song at the end too, by the way, where the army is getting ready for their final stand, and they sing another song, and it goes, "Oh, we beat the Germans in '45, then we licked the Viet Cong almost." It's actually done as a musical.
Yeah.
And have you actually seen, or has anyone out there seen the second one? A lot of people don't even realize there was a sequel.
I don't think, I was aware of the second one, but I don't know if I've seen the second one.
It's actually done like an old post-war film where they refer to the original Attack of the Tomatoes as like the war. And basically they come back together and try to stop it again. And the funniest thing is, the reason I normally wouldn't have bought it, but I went and I got it because my wife loves George Clooney and he was in it. So I went and I bought it as a gift to her. So yeah, I actually have both, believe it or not.
Nice.
I'm having some technical difficulties.
Holy
I was going to say, I thought it was me. It's nice not being me for a change.
I don't know.
Trent Russ Myers says King Tut was great.
There we go.
Yes, Victor Buono was an amazing guest villain, but I love the Penguin.
Oh, I love the Penguin. And just like the character.
We're talking about I think we're talking about the TV series villains here.
Yeah. Let's get us into that. Let's get us into the our personal story with this. So, like, where does it fit into you? Like, how old were you when it came out? Like, what was the impact for you when you saw Batman? Favorite iterations, that kind of thing. How does that story fit for you? Like, why are you someone like Dave? You got all this stuff on the back wall that has Batman on it. What happened? Somebody comes along and says, "Hey, Dave, what happened? Why are you so into Batman?" What was the?
You want me to answer first?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I must have gravitated to the character early. So I was born in the mid-'60s, and so I was just a little one when the show debuted in '66. But I remember during its final year, I remember catching it in the evening on prime time on ABC. I have this vague memory in my head of an episode where I was watching it with my family and mom and dad, and so I. But the thing of it is that for whatever reason, my parents kind of fostered a love of reading, and one of the ways they did that was through comics, and they just encouraged it. I think they thought it was cute that I loved Batman so much. My mom made me little Batman capes to run around the neighborhood in, and anything. I had Batman silverware. I grew up right during that first moment of Batmania. I was 4 and 5 and 6, and so and it was the tail end of it, but still I just embraced everything about it. And so, everybody knew Christmas time, birthdays, just get him something with Batman on it and he'll be happy. And that truly was the case. The 70s were kind of lean times for Batman. There were some cartoons on Saturday mornings, but he was no longer the most popular comic book character, and I was continually trying to talk my friends into seeing the vision the way I did, that Batman was the greatest comic book character of all time. And all they would do is point to Adam West and snicker. And while the 70s were kind of a dark time for Batman, they were kind of a dark time for poor Adam as well. I was talking to my wife the other day about Adam, and I tell you, I don't think there was a more tenacious actor out there. A guy who, after that show ended, couldn't get hired for anything really. I mean, he'd find a guest role here or there, but there were some lean times in the West home in terms of finding work until the late 80s, when a renaissance happened and Adam figured it out. Adam figured out that, you know what? Don't try to not be Batman. Instead, embrace it, embrace the character, embrace everything about it. And, for the last 20, 25 years of his life, he was just a beloved pop culture icon.
Yeah, that's an interesting, way what it went down where you couldn't get anything else, and then he embraced it, and everybody looked at him kind of as Batman, or as Mayor West
Yeah.
on Family
And how many
Guy.
appearances did he make on The Simpsons as Adam West and all sorts
Yeah.
of things?
Or the Family Guy, or
People loved him, and the writers of those shows remembered him from when they were kids, and they got, they had him on, and Adam was just always such a good sport about everything. I think, at the end of the day, the reason why that show is my favorite is because of that actor and his story, and just the triumph that is the story of Adam West.
Right. Well, what about you, Thrash? Where do you fit in? Where does Batman fit into your life personally?
I wasn't born until '67, so I watched it all in reruns with my dad, with my uncles, that type of thing. And then I remember I was probably about 6. Mego came out with a line of action figures, which went very nicely with my Planet of the Apes figures. And I remember one of them, of course, was Batman. So I had the Batman action figure. I could have my own Batman adventures. Spider-Man was probably my favorite, and that's probably because of the Ralph Bakshi comic. Cartoon, that is to say.
Yeah.
But Batman was right up there with the show. One of my best friends was really into Batman, so he was sort of always there. And then, of course, when the cartoon show, and there was a cartoon show. Correct me if I'm wrong. There was a Saturday morning one in the mid-late '70s, but there was one previous to that, I believe.
There was. So right after Batman, the TV series, ended in '68, Filmation did a version of Batman. And then we had, of course, the Super Friends in the early 70s, 73, I think. But in 77, I believe, we had the New Adventures of Batman, which used a lot of the same character designs and everything because it was done by Filmation, of the 68 cartoon. But this time they actually had Adam West and Burt Ward voicing the characters. That was the New Adventures of Batman. It was fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was kind of always around. One thing I'd like to read into the record, though, in the '70s, primetime TV was awash with superhero stuff. There was, of course, the Hulk, Spider-Man had his own brief TV show, and there were a lot of pilots for others or made for TV movies. But it wasn't the 80s was kind of a dry spell for the whole superhero thing until 89. So I have always considered the Tim Burton Batman movie to be the triggering mechanism for the superhero renaissance, which continues to this day. I don't think we'd have this massive franchise of superheroes were it not for Tim Burton proving you could actually make a feature length movie about a superhero and make buku buckaroos off it.
And have it be compelling and interesting
Well, of
too.
course.
You know, not
Yes.
not just a film that adults can enjoy as much as kids can enjoy. You know, a family friendly film at that, but it wasn't just, oh, I have to endure, you know, this with my children because they like it. But somebody who's an adult can say, yeah, I mean, this clicked on all kinds of levels for me. So yeah, I mean, I grew up with it. I mean, I'm a little later than you guys. I mean, I was born in the mid 70s, mid to early 70s. And I just grew up loving superheroes. I mean, it was just part of my nature to want to be able to do the extraordinary. And one of the things that resonated with me about Batman is that he was like a person. You know, he didn't have any special powers. In other words, he was just somebody who had the ingenuity, and of course, he had the money, which, you know, obviously was a special power. Uh, but it puts him in a class, you know, that's out of the average person, but it's still a human being. He's not Superman, or he wasn't bitten by a radioactive spider or something like that. He just had his wits about him and his ingenuity and his team of helpers to kind of help him, which kind of made him a little bit more personal relative to me. And as a kid, you know, I'd love I didn't know, you know, I didn't know, oh, this one came first, and then there was the cartoon, and then there's the Super Friends, and then however the progression went, I just was watching them all. And I think I was like, 15 or 16 when the movie came out, when Batman the movie came out. And then of course I was blown away, absolutely blown away by that film. I mean, it was just the coolest thing ever. Now I have to say, and I have to disagree with you just slightly, Thrash Pondo, it was a low time in the 80s for superhero live action. It wasn't for superhero cartoons. I mean, you had Spider-Man and the Amazing Friends that kind of came out. That was, and the Incredible Hulk that came out. I actually did enjoy those. So I don't know. I don't know how much of a lull it had. It certainly had a lull in the live action stuff. The live action was just campy. You look at that. Not the greatest, the Greatest American Hero is one of the better ones. What was the other one? What am I thinking? The America guy, Captain America. That's the one I'm thinking of. Captain America. That show is just that the made for TV movie. That
Yeah,
was bad.
there were two made for TV movies, and that one, I've done a video on that. Poor Reb Brown, who was asked to be Captain America in that, he did his very best, but you know, those CBS Marvel movies, they didn't know if they wanted to get too comic booky, so they tried to always establish it in reality. And I think in the first movie, he's wearing a motorcycle helmet with
Yes.
painted on wings.
Yeah.
And then in the second one, the wings get to be at least not painted on, but it's still a motorcycle helmet. It still looks kind of dumb. And yeah, it's, to your point, it didn't feel right.
Yeah, yeah. And that Spider-Man live action one that happened in the late 70s there, was it in the 70s? That was it.
Yeah, it was 78. Nicholas Hammond starred as Peter Parker, and again, it was none of the classic Spider-Man villains showed up. J. Jonah Jameson was there, and Betty Brant was there, and that was actually a show that had great ratings throughout its entire run, even when CBS moved it around all over the place. But by the time that show, there came a point where CBS kind of decided to move away from the superhero shows. They canceled Wonder Woman. Incredible Hulk was ending its run. they didn't want to keep Spider-Man in their lineup, so they went ahead and canceled it despite the decent ratings. The problem with that show was, again, how do you do the Green Goblin with the practical special effects that they were saddled with? How do you do the Lizard, Electro, all these, these great villains, Dr. Octopus? You can't do them. And so Spider-Man is fighting the terrorists and, evil scientists and things like that. And just not as much fun.
Yeah. Good points. Well, let's go to some of the comments here. And then
we have a few more of our friends in the chat. So I'd like to say hi.
Let's say hi to them.
Superplex in the house. I have no preference.
All right, on. Well, good. That means you can equally like them all.
The Golden Rage of TV, Pure West, yet kind of Keaton and Bale was the bomb.
I love that. It's a good statement right there.
Hi, Pat.
That's perfect.
Hi, Pat. How you doing, brother?
And Mr. Led says, hello, everybody. Little late Mr. tonight.
Led. That's all right. I'm glad you made it.
Skipping down to see if you have any more...
Mr. Led made an interesting comment. I think it was him that mentioned the television series that's on the Epix streaming network called Pennyworth. Have any of you seen that?
No,
it tells the story of a young Alfred Pennyworth. I will. He was asking if anyone had seen it and if they liked it. I have watched the first season, started season 2. It's a little nutty. It's full of adult language, adult situations, very R-rated material. And it was interesting. It's by the same people that did Gotham. So if you watched Gotham, imagine Gotham without having to worry about network censors. And that's kind of what you get with Pennyworth. If you're interested in a backstory for Alfred when he was a young man in England, check it out. You might like it. I thought the first season was great. I started the second season and just said, you know what?
Nah. Just gave up on it.
Yeah, I stopped. But check it out if you're interested. One other thing real quick. John Collins has a question about asking why can't folks just referring to that? We were talking about Clooney and Batman and Robin. And he says, why isn't Batman and Robin just seen as campy fun like Batman 68? I think the problem is that particular movie was still part of the original series that started with Keaton. We were supposed to believe that was the same Batman. The two movies with Keaton, Kilmer, and then Clooney, they were all supposed to be in the same world. And what we saw throughout those 4 movies is a complete devolution or evolution, whatever you want to call it, of dark gothic adventure going to all the way back to kind of with Batman and Robin more silly, they
went camp hard. They said we're going to go camp and we're going to push the edges and we're just going to find out what happens. Well, they found out what happens. It's literally one of the worst movies listed, other than I think one of the Fantastic Fours is another one.
Camp only works if you do it purely straight.
Yeah.
You have to take yourself very seriously, bite my tongue.
Right.
You take yourself very seriously when you're doing camp. If you kind of look at the camera and break the fourth wall and do it, tell you, look, aren't I silly? It ruins it. It becomes a pantomime.
And to, our conversation earlier, nothing against Clooney, but he didn't have it in him the way that Adam West did. He couldn't be that earnest, genuine. He always seemed to be smirking in that movie. He always seemed to be kind of like in on the gag, and you can't be in on the gag. Adam West is perfect portrayal. Adam West, Batman, was never in on the gag. He took his crime fighting very seriously in that television series.
Right. And let's face it. I said he doesn't have anything to apologize for as an actor, but that doesn't mean he wasn't the worst Batman that there was. He really was. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
He was a decent Bruce Wayne, but not a good Batman.
Not a good Batman. Yeah.
Right. But, still not my least favorite Batman, though.
Wow! I can't wait to hear.
No, not my least favorite Batman show, movie, I should say.
Oh, okay.
So, let's talk about some of the iterations now. Unless there's something pending here with the comments.
I wanted to get to this one, please. Joe Black says Batfleck and Battinson rule, but West is the tops.
Yeah. Batfleck and what's Bat and
Yeah,
Son? I'm not
Affleck.
understanding.
Ben Affleck and
Affleck is
Robert
Batfleck.
Pattinson.
Oh,
Is-
okay. Yeah, I know. I got the Ben Affleck one, but the Robert Pattinson one I didn't quite understand. Okay, but I get it now. So let's get into some of the iterations of it because I really think that probably my favorite two films so far of Batman would have to be Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Those are probably my two favorites. They're neck and neck. Probably The Dark Knight takes it just because it's a bit more intrigue. But I mean, that's going to depend on the day. I really do like the new Batman too, as well. That's going to be up there in it, and so would be Batman '89. Those would definitely be competing in the top five. Um, and then they kind of de-evolve. Well, Adam West too, of course. The Adam West has to be mentioned in there in that top five. But uh, uh, so what was your take on? So let's just cut through this. So what was your take on Christian Bale? Because we didn't get a new Batman for a while because of the things that we were talking about. Because it just went so darn campy, and they blew it. And the other thing about camp too is you can play it. You can play it for camp, but you got to play it right. Most of the time, campy happens when you're not really realizing it. It's just like Samurai Cop. Samurai Cop's a great camp movie. It's a horrible movie. It's so bad it's good, but they realized they had a so bad it's good, and they try to Samurai Cop 2, and it's ruined. You can't do that. And we just had this camp version of Batman that ruined the genre, and then Christopher Nolan decided to take a chance and do another show, and he made magic. In my opinion, he made mad. I think he did a great job. Loved the first two, like the third one, but not a favorite. But I didn't hate it. What was your opinion when the Batman Begins, the Christian Bale era of Dark Knight came out? Dave, go ahead, please.
Loved it. I remember sneaking away from work one afternoon and going to see the movie all by myself, and
right on,
and just falling in love with it, thinking this is Batman. This is the way Batman should be. And I thought Liam Neeson and just the whole Ra's al Ghul character is so good, so good. And they had Scarecrow. Holy cow, just so much fun. And that opinion, I love the entire trilogy. I think either sure you can point to some faults in The Dark Knight Rises, but as you look at that trilogy, that is the way you do a trilogy. That is a solid trilogy. And by the way, it still has my favorite recent version of Catwoman, and I know this is heresy, but I like Anne Hathaway better than Michelle Pfeiffer or Zoe Kravitz. I just thought I loved the character that Anne Hathaway played, her version of Selena Kyle, and I love the redemptive qualities of the story in Dark Knight Rises. So I have tremendous respect for Christopher Nolan as a filmmaker. I'd actually been a fan of his work. I'd enjoyed Memento, which was one of his earlier works. And of course, I enjoyed things like Inception and some of the other movies he's done. I think lately, I really struggled through Tenet and some of those movies, some of his more recent movies. But he is always trying to do something different. And clearly, they hired the right guy to bring Batman back after the disaster of Batman and Robin. And I remember there was lots of conversation about what would happen next after Batman and Robin. There was a Batman versus Superman that the director of Road Warrior was going to do. There was also a Darren Aronofsky version of Batman that was going to be a Batman Year One, and all of those fell to the wayside. And I'm glad that they did at that time, because those Christopher Nolan movies are something very special. Now, are they my favorite? No, but again, from a technical standpoint, from a craftsmanship standpoint, from all the actors, the story writing, everything, they were phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure. And I like your take on Anne Hathaway as Cat. I
Yeah.
think she nailed it. Did a perfect job playing that character. I
Yeah.
think I like the new one too. I really like.
Oh,
the
she
new
was
one
good too.
Um,
In no way do I mean to denigrate Zoe Kravitz's performance, because it's really good.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Thrash? Tell me your take on, because there's no way you can't just single out the Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale error when you're talking about Batman. Some things might fall by the wayside, but you'd just be blind to have that fall by the wayside. What's your take on it?
Oh, well, one thing I just want to, in support of what Dave was just saying, don't feel too bad about dissing on Miss Pfeiffer, because even though she was a great actress, let's face it, she phoned it in as Catwoman. She was, in my opinion, she was sort of the weak link of that movie. I thought Danny DeVito did a much better job as the Penguin than she did as the Catwoman. And it's not that she wasn't trying. I think it was an underwritten role, but I just wanted that read into the record.
Yeah.
But as far as the Christopher Nolan movies go, I was thoroughly entertained by them. Particularly, I like the fact that we actually see the evolution, the development of Batman. He travels to the East and is trained by masters. Normally, when we see Batman, we see him as an adult and he gives us flashbacks to bang, bang, his parents were killed. I'm doing some training and now I'm Batman. We really saw an evolution into a hero, and that's usually a big part of the hero is their training processes, like Qui-Gon Kane in Kung Fu. It wouldn't be a show if we didn't see him learning Kung Fu now, would it? So
Right.
I did like that, and I thought Christian Bale made a very convincing sort of just this like bitter, solid hero. He made a very convincing Batman.
Yeah, I think he did good too, both as Batman and as Bruce Wayne.
Oh, of course.
And I think the other person who did just as good as Batman and Bruce Wayne was the Batman '89. My name's eluding me
Michael
right
Keaton.
now.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
Michael
Michael Keaton. I think he did a really good job as a Bruce Wayne character and then turning into a Batman character.
Who's going to be back as Batman, starting with the Batgirl movie and then with the Flash after that.
He is?
Yes.
Really? Well, that's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Matter of fact, if you go on YouTube and watch the Flash trailer, you'll get hints. You'll see hints that Michael Keaton will be returning. They're using the whole multiverse concept. DC is actually the comic book company that created the idea of multiverses. Of course, Marvel beat them to the punch cinematically, but we will see in the Flash movie, which is now scheduled for 2023. It was supposed to be Christmas of 2022, but they're going back to do reshoots. Could there be a Henry Cavill involvement in that and see Superman in it as well? Possibly, but we will see Keaton return to mentor the Flash. That is going to be Ben Affleck's last appearance as Batman as well. He will be in there. Well, there will be multiple Batmen. Rumor has it that Adam West, albeit posthumously, may make an appearance in that movie as well.
That'll be a very interesting story. That'll be a
Yeah.
very interesting story to have all
Now,
those
if
people
they
as
could just keep
Batmans.
that young actor who's the Flash out of jail, it would be nice.
Oh, for sure. And there's no getting around talking about the Nolan films without talking about Heath Ledger. I mean, to me, that is an iconic Joker. He really brought Joker. You got to talk about Penguin. You got to talk about the Riddler. You got to talk about all these people. But I mean, the Joker is the apex. Let's just put it that way: the apex arch villain to Batman. They all play their part, but that is in my opinion, the apex. And he did a masterful job that just couldn't be repeated.
Never again. We're never going to see an actor take a villain character like that and do what he did. You know, I Nicholson was playing Nicholson as the Joker.
Right.
Cesar Romero, gosh, I love that guy, but he couldn't even bother to shave off his mustache.
Right.
Right. But Heath Ledger, probably to his detriment, both physically and mentally, became the Joker. And that was just, it is one of the all-time motion picture performances. I just forget that we're talking about superhero movies. That performance is one for and I'm so glad that they honored him with an Oscar, because if they hadn't, that would have been a real travesty of justice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was great. There are some other Jokers that I thought that like the Joker in Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn show. Who's that actor that played the Joker? I forgot his name. He's the singer for 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh, you're talking about Jared Leto.
Yeah, Jared Leto. I didn't think that was bad. I thought his emanation was actually really good, but it's just not the same. It's just
he was also Joker in Suicide Squad, and he managed to work his way into the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League.
Yeah.
So there's, he's had 3 cinematic performances now as the Joker. Although the Birds of Prey was just those were maybe outtakes from Suicide Squad. I don't think they actually paid him to be in I don't think he actually showed up on set during Birds of Prey.
Right.
But he was okay. I will tell you that Joker didn't really resonate very well with me. But I appreciated him trying to do something different and make it his own take as well.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple other things that I really want to talk about too. That it's not going to be complete unless we talk about these things. Probably they're going to be with a franchise like Batman. There's always going to be something we're going to leave out, but there are a couple things that I want to talk about that need to be talked about. So the second or the fifth thing that I want to talk about tonight is I want to talk about the animated series.
Oh, thank heavens, yes.
Yeah. So I have to say that I have not seen a ton of the animated series, but everything that I have seen has been absolutely phenomenal. It's like another movie. You know what I mean? Like it just takes you away. And some of them are feature length, in fact. But where does the animated series fit in for you, Dave?
I have a lot of love for the animated series. You have Mark Hamill, of course, voicing the Joker, and that is the Joker in terms of the voice. That is the Joker. How I always envision him as I read him in the comic books. Mark Hamill has voiced him perfectly. And that animated series is just made with a ton of love by a lot of folks that are huge comic book fans. We got to see Adam West come back and voice a character called the Great Ghost. We had episodes with Ra's al Ghul. We had started out where it was just Batman, and then eventually we got to Robin and Batgirl in it as well. And there's all of the villains were given their due, but in particular, a villain that has rarely gotten his due, particularly in Batman and Robin. There are some episodes with Mr. Freeze that are heartbreaking. Mr. Freeze is a true tragic villain in Batman the Animated Series because he's a good man who just got bad things happen to him, and the love that he has for his wife causes him to do even worse things.
Yeah, that's where those, two wrongs don't make a right statement kind of come in with him for sure. Thrash, what's your take on the Batman? Not the Batman, but the animated series.
Oh, I love the animated series myself. Actually, I can't remember why. For some reason, I don't know if it was on at a bad time for me, so I couldn't watch it that faithfully. But I would catch it whenever it was on, and I did love it.
Yeah, and we have, because of the animated series, we have Harley Quinn. Right?
Yeah, right.
There was no Harley Quinn. She was a creation of the animated series, and now she's like everywhere, right? Everybody loves Harley Quinn. But she didn't exist before that. It's just it was groundbreaking, and guess what? The creative team behind that is doing a new version on HBO Max. It should be out next year.
Oh wow, that's
It
awesome.
should be cool.
Yeah, she became her own character in her own right.
Yeah,
I
she
mean,
sure did.
really, she's part of the staple characters there.
Classic episode. If you haven't seen it, and folks, I'm talking to the audience now. If you get a chance to watch Mad Love, it was first a comic, and then, or wait, no, it was an episode of Batman the Animated Series, and then it was a comic book, a graphic novel, and it won all sorts of comic book awards. In the comic book industry is the equivalent of the Oscars, the Eisner Award. And named after Will Eisner, who created the Spirit and was just a really famous cartoonist. But anyway, that comic book won a ton of awards. It's called Mad Love, and it is an excellent Batman, Joker, Harley Quinn story. One of the best.
Right. Well, let's turn our attention before we get to our last couple of issues here that I want to bring up. Let's turn our attention to the audience chat. Do we have anything going on there? Hi, Lisa.
We got to say hi to Lisa Fields.
Hi, Lisa.
I love West and Keaton. Hi, everyone.
Me too. I love them both, Lisa.
We got any other questions or comments or anything like that?
Kimberly Whiterhold says, I would have watched Smallville just for Tom.
Tom Welling's great. I'd love to see him get to do some more things as an older Clark Kent. I think he was fantastic.
I was a big Smallville fan. Actually, we had a foster care kid in our house for a little while, and he was really into Smallville, and we used to watch that. And the theme song by Remy Zero, that was a great theme song.
Saved me. Yep.
Yeah, nobody saved me.
Superplex brings up an excellent point here. The last Superman film killed the superhero concept until the Batman, the movie.
Yeah, and it's too bad. That Superman Quest for Peace was one that Christopher Reeve didn't even want to come back and do Superman 4. He was talked into doing it. He was given a lot of money. He was given a partial screenwriting credit, and he came up with the idea of like Superman throwing the nukes into the sun, trying to kind of create a nuclear detente. But we had this Nuclear Man character that was horrible. And as much as I like John Cryer, he was horrible in that movie. The special effects looked like they spent $7 on them. And part of it is that it was actually Superman 4 was produced by a different studio, not Warner Brothers, but instead Canon Films. And the budget that they had went to getting Reeve back and some of the other actors, and they did not spend the money. It just looks horrible, and it's a horribly edited film. It really did. I think it did cause a lot of damage, much like Batman and Robin did later on.
Right. Well, I don't know if have you ever watched? There's a video here on YouTube. So we're speaking about Superman called. Let's see. It's called The Death and Return of Superman. I don't know. That might be a copy of it too, but it's basically Nobody Cares About Superman. I'm going to put it in the thing here. It's actually really worth watching. There is cussing in it though. There is a lot of cursing in it, but just so you know. But that is hilarious. By the way, it's Ron Howard's son. And have you seen this one? Have you seen?
No, I'm going to check it out. Post the link.
Yeah,
there we go. It's in there. I'll check it out later.
And basically, he drinks some scotch and he waxes philosophical about Superman, and actually stars kind of play as he's talking. So it's got Elijah Wood in it. It's got a bunch of people who are his friends. This kind of he talks about how Superman dies. It's really quite funny. It's worth watching.
You see the question from John Collins there? That's a good one. Maybe
let's get that one.
Oh, okay, sure. John Collins says, Dave, could you please slowly explain to me what all the hubbub about the Snyder Verse is all about?
So I think it's funny because after that you get a question from someone else. Oh, Zuperplex says, "What the heck is the Snyder Verse? Does it have anything to do with John Schneider?" Because that's the spelling for John Schneider. Actually, Zack Snyder is Snyder, so it's a different spelling. And here's the deal with Zack Snyder. Obviously, a comic book fan, and his movies are beautifully directed in terms of not necessarily the directing, but the visuals. This guy has an eye for visuals. If you watch Batman versus Superman, A Man of Steel, or Justice League, his version, you will see some incredible visuals. He loves slow motion, by the way. Lots of slow motion scenes. Oh my goodness. At the end of the day, I think there's a certain fan that really loves those movies. It's not your mainstream theater goer, though. It's not. It's more your die-hard, really into it comic book fan that is really going to appreciate what Zack Snyder is doing. He just has an eye for visuals, which makes sense. But he struggles sometimes in terms of pacing, some other things, some plot choices, things like that I think caused the movies to suffer a little bit. Did I enjoy all of the Snyderverse movies? I did. Did I think they were the best versions of the characters, Superman, Batman, and the Justice League? Probably not. I mean, they're the best live action version of the Justice League because that's all we really have. We have that Frankenbeast of a movie that was the 2017 release of Justice League. And then we have Zack Snyder's. Those are really all we have in terms of. There was a TV movie of Justice League that didn't have any of the main characters in the early 2000s. That was horrible. It's on YouTube if you really folks want to check it out. But
there's a TV version of the Justice League?
There is. David Ogden Stiers is the leader of that Justice League. Colonel Winchester from MASH, and it's a Martian Manhunter. The Flash is in it. Green Lantern's in it. But it may even in the 90s. It's just horrible, horrible. But anyway, getting back to answering the question, Snyder visually is great. He's a huge comic book fan, and it shows. End of the day, I think there's been people that have done it better still. But he does have a rabid fan base.
Yeah, I've enjoyed his films as well, but I mean, they're not necessarily my favorite. So
Right.
I got to be honest with you, I'm not a huge DC fan.
Yeah.
I'm really more of a Marvel fan, with Batman as a huge exception to the rule. I did like the new iteration of Superman for sure. I thought that was a great, fantastic.
Man of Steel was a really good movie, I thought.
Yeah,
even
really.
with the controversial ending.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, well, any other comments there? I got a couple more things I do want to talk about.
Chipley Widerhold says that Bob Newhart actor is Jack Riley. I just wanted that read into the record.
Okay.
Oh, and from Golden Rage TV, he says, "Well, I've got my fishing line out. I was thinking of doing a Q&A on my Golden Rage of TV music production and videos. Anyone interested?"
Right here. Right here.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Excellent. And that's about. We have a lot of people having fellowship, which is all part of the game. But if you want to mention what you wanted to mention there, boss.
Okay. All right. A couple last issues. Toys and comics. We can put those into the same kind of category. Were you a toys and comics fan, Dave?
Yeah. I have had Batman toys my entire life, right?
Yeah.
And I've had everything I could find of Batman. I had when I was a little tiny kid. I'll have to show you this. Let me see if I can. Hang on a second. There. Where is it? No, that's lost. I'll show you what I just bought. Hang on.
Okay. That'll be cool.
Yeah. I just bought this the other day. Shows you what a geek I am.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Hot Wheels.
Oh, wow.
I thought this was a value. I found it at Walmart for $10.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Cool.
anyway, I have a version of that I got when I was like 4 or 5. Looks very
Yeah.
similar to that my dog chewed up, and I still have it though. And I love it. I cherish it, and I gotta go find it. Sure. Oh, there it is. Look at this.
Wow.
Go over here to the other part of the Hall of Nostalgia. This is the old version. This came from, let's see, there we go. You can see it's been chewed up.
Yeah.
Windshield, but look at this. This was so cool. Let's see, there we go. Hold on, I got to turn it this way. See the Batman come out?
Yeah.
Underneath, there's like there's an image of Batman etched into the wheels.
That is
If
cool.
you move the tires, the little flame bounces in and out. It's so cool. Love Batman. I have so many toys. I can't even begin to show you how many. In comics, my closet is full of boxes of comics. Not all of them Batman. I like Spider-Man and Superman and Hulk, and another one we haven't talked about, Daredevil, is another one of my favorites. So I like all sorts of comic book characters, but Batman probably is half of my comic book collection.
Oh yeah. Gotta be. Did you have any of the toys growing up, Thrash?
Yes, I had the Mego superhero characters, which Dave reminded me. Run that by me
As
again?
did I. I was just saying
Yeah.
I did as well.
And if I remember, you pointed out that was right around the time the Justice League cartoon was coming out. The Super Friends was coming out, so that was a tie into that. And that car you just showed, where if you hit the switch, the battering ram comes down. The battering ram comes down. I had yours was a little bit bigger. Mine was a Matchbox size, a little bit smaller, but it did have that battering ram that came out. So yeah, I had the car, and I had a few of the toys. I had a friend who was an avid collector of the comics, and somewhere deep in my archives, I have a copy of The Killing Joke, which he gave to me as a gift.
Great graphic novel.
Amazing. And I'm trying to remember, there was something else by Frank Miller, because I went through a Frank Miller phase.
The Dark Knight Returns or Batman Year One?
Dark Knight Returns. It was the Returns. Yes, because I was a huge Frank Miller fan, and which someone gave to me as a gift because of my Frank Miller connection. So I had some. I was more of a comic speculator when I was going through my comic phase. So I got a little of that. I tried to buy books that I thought were going to be valuable because it would be rare, and very few Batman comics are rare. Yeah, because everyone was buying them.
Right.
But I did get my share.
Right. Yeah, I had a lot of Batman, a lot of superhero stuff growing up. The only I got 2 of the movies on VHS. The other one's not in here. It must be, but that's from the time that it came out. Like right after it came out, and it normally was like the movie would come out, and then 6 months later the VHS would come out. Was normally the standard. And I've got the Batman '89 one too. The Batman '89 one when it came out, so I think it was either in '89 or '90, the actual VHS. I don't have a back here for
Christmas '89. It came out in time for holiday shopping. I remember that.
Oh yeah,
Batman came out in June something of, I think it was June something of '89, and they managed to squeeze it into that window to get it so people could have it in their Christmas stockings.
Right. And there was a reiteration in the '80s of the smaller, more like the G.I. Joe and Star Wars action figures.
The Kenner Batman figures from the 90s were they were all over the place.
Well, you could squeeze them. Well, this was '80s. I know it was '80s. I know, and they would do different things because I got it in the '80s. Okay. And actually in one of my earlier videos, I take a trip through the toy part of a comic store here in our town, and I show a couple of them. The friend that owns the comics book store here has like a collection. That's where I got the Obi-Wan Kenobi from back there in my last Gen X show and tell. And anyway, I had one of those, and I and I had a Robin, and I went to the bathroom, and the cape. I don't know how this happened, but the cape of Robin fell off into the toilet just as I was flushing it, and down it went, man.
Oh,
down
hating
it went.
life.
All right. I'm gonna have two more questions before we end this, but I want to say hi to a couple of people here. Jill Carter has got on here,
I'm sorry. That
and
was me. That was me. Hey.
and also BK on the air.
Barry, how you doing,
Barry.
bud? Good to have you here.
I just wanted to say hi to both of you as well. Go ahead, you can read that if you want.
Yeah. BK on the air says, "Hello, folks. I actually liked Patterson's Batman. It's the best since Keaton and Kilmer. Yes, I did like Val Kilmer's portrayal. Great show as always."
Thank you. And
I'm
then
wondering, has anybody seen it? Just came out on YouTube a couple of days ago. It's a little clip. It's called Adam West is the Batman, and it's the new Batman movie, the trailer, and they've deep faked Adam West into the trailer. It is incredible. You would not believe that it really wasn't, that Adam West hadn't been the actor in the Batman instead of Pattinson.
Wow.
So good. You guys have to check it out.
I'll definitely.
I think the YouTube channel's Corridor that did it. They do deep fakes of all sorts. It's great.
That's good. So I don't want to leave on a bad note, so I'll have another question at the end. But here's the other question. Least favorite Batman movie or Batman character, person, whatever. The least favorite Batman emanation, anything that you're just like, oh man, this was the worst. I can't believe it. I think you're going to know what my answer is if you're a fan of the channel, but I would like to know what your something that you're like, I could have done without. If they'd never even made that, I wouldn't have missed it. Dave,
Let's go first.
You got to go.
I'm going to shock you. Adam West. And you want to know how I'm going to shock you?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm already shocked. So
in 78,
okay,
Adam West returned to live action. Might have even been 79. It was a 2-part NBC miniseries called Legends of the Superheroes, and they recruited Adam West and Burt Ward to reprise, either way, to play their characters again. And it is horrible. The first one is treated as kind of an adventure story. The second one is treated as a Dean Martin style roast, which is just like mind blowing. But the sad part is Adam West, he had to bring his own Batman costume to the filming of it. They didn't have one. So he wore he has a couple of them from the day back in the 60s, and he brought them, and he still fit in it, but the cowl and some of the things, they were showing a little bit of sign of wear. And beyond that, beyond the visual aesthetics of just seeing he didn't have the cowl part tucked in correctly. It just looked really weird. The story is just horrible. I believe it was done by Hanna-Barbera. I think it was a live action Hanna-Barbera thing that didn't work in any way. It's absolute gutter trash. It's horrible. And I keep wanting to like it, like the way I kind of like Star Wars Holiday Special. I keep wanting to go, and I've gone back and watched it 2 or at least 2, maybe 3 times, in hopes that I'll somehow find some magic, some little joy that I can pull out of it, and I just can't.
Right.
I saw that on TV, by the way. I
get that. I understand. I haven't seen that one. I did see the one where
it's on Tubi.
Okay. I did see the one where Adam West and Burt Ward do kind of a behind the scenes.
I like the return to the Batcave. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Frank Gorshin was in it. Julie Newmar, Lee Merriweather. That was kind of fun. I mean, It wasn't great, but it was kind of fun.
Okay. Worst Batman for you?
Me?
Trash. Yes, of course.
I'm going to stick with the George Clooney. Always go with the one you know. I'm going to stick with that one.
Yeah.
I don't consider the made-for-TV roast to be canon. So sticking with canon, I'm going to have to stick with the George Clooney. That was the one that the Bat credit card. Come on, just
and Bane. Cringe. What a sad interpretation of Bane, grunting and
yeah, right.
And you know what, Uma Thurman. I love Uma Thurman. She's a wonderful
Yeah.
actress. She's beautiful, and it was almost like she was bored out of her mind and didn't want to be there and was just sort of like, the whole time. It just, no matter, I've tried. I've given that movie sometimes you say maybe I was just being really harsh when I saw it. I'll give the movie another
Yeah.
chance. I've done that twice. And both times I'm like, no, I still hate this movie.
Well, mine is Batman Returns. I have to say I haven't seen
You and
these
I
other-
have had this conversation before.
I know.
I love that movie.
I can't even handle it. I love the first one. The Keaton one is, classic for me. But and it's not that I don't like Keaton in this one as well. I liked Keaton personally.
Keaton
I just
was
didn't
great
like
in it.
the movie, and I didn't mind the characters. Yeah, I like the darkness of it. But and I was willing to give it a chance because I didn't seen it since it did.
Was it Danny DeVito? Was it the Penguin?
No,
What
no.
was it then?
Okay, all right. So
What was it?
So listen. I was on Fat Samurai Guy show.
Yeah.
And I was willing to watch it because I hadn't seen it in a while. So I thought, okay, I'll watch it. And he does the verses, and it was Batman Returns versus Iron Man 3, and you just kind of get back and forth. It's too ridiculous for me. Now listen, I love action movies. I love them. You get the superhero, he throws a string over a cable and everyone's shooting at him and he misses and he's hitting everybody with his gun. Give it to me all day long. I love it. I love those shows. But there comes a point where it comes a line where it gets too stupid. And the idea that, first of all, he gets dumped down the sewer, the Penguin gets dumped down the sewer, but then he amasses this huge army of people that he obviously has influence over, but he needs the Christopher Walken character to find his parents. And then like in the very first thing, like he shoots the town up and everybody knows it's him. And then the next thing you know, he's running for mayor. I'm like, why isn't this guy in jail?
Penguin wasn't there. That was the Red Circus gang that shot up the town. Penguin was hiding. He was behind the scenes. You need to watch that movie more carefully.
Maybe I do. I couldn't handle it was just a little too silly for me. And it was supposed to be dark, but to me it got like it was like what Batman and Robin tried to do with camp. It was like what he tried to do with dark. Right. It like went too far that way and it just got silly.
Here's the thing. I will never list it as the greatest Batman movie ever.
Yeah.
It's not a great Batman movie. Okay. But it's a great Tim Burton movie.
Yeah. I don't like the movie. That's the thing is I just don't like the movie. The Catwoman thing.
Oddballs and freaks. That's what that movie is, and that's what Tim Burton likes to make movies about.
I love Tim Burton movies. I mean, I love them. They're great movies. Nightmare Before Christmas is wonderful. This one was movie, was just too much for me. All right, we can't leave on a bad note. We just can't leave on a sad note. And before anybody decides to leave out there, you stick around. Well, do we have any comments? Do we have any comments we need to get to? Does anybody want to say anything? We're coming up on the hour and a half, and I want to be respectful of guests and your time and everything. I don't want to see people dropping out to where we have to quit the show. Like there's 3 people left. I'm like, well, should we stop? Let's stop it on top and not at the bottom.
Superblick says the Star Wars holiday special of Batman movies.
Yeah. Yes. The Star Wars
talking about Legends of the Superheroes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Came out roughly the same year, didn't it? 78?
78, 79, somewhere in that time.
Right around there, yeah.
Yep.
Right around there. All right. Last question. Favorite Batmobile? Favorite? I mean, it's its own character. Every iteration. Favorite Batmobile? Dave, go.
No words.
Yes, the classic one. Yes,
love it.
What about you,
I too will have to stick with the original. I'm a purist. If it wasn't for that original one, there'd be no others. They would have had nothing to base the template on. So I'm going to stick with the original.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to give it to the original too. I really am. I think all the other iterations are really just. It was so cool that they had to redo it. That they had to kind of soup it up and redo it. So that's all right. Well, hey, before anybody goes, please, you know what to do. If you haven't subscribed to these guys' channels, subscribe to their channels, subscribe to my channel, like this video, share it on your favorite social media. It helps us out. If you're interested in helping us out financially, hit the either the Venmo, which is now a thing you can do if you just want to make a one-time donation. It's at singularity_productions, or you can hit the Patreon page and sign up there. All those mean the world to us here. Dave, and like this video, like it right now, hit the like button.
Do it.
Dave,
Let's pause. Let's stop.
Okay.
Everybody click on the like button right now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you,
Dave. Yes, thank you very much, Dave. What do you got going on at your station right now? What do you got going on your channel?
Not much. We're just hanging out. I just released a video today. Not coincidentally, I should say, on Batman. And
I saw that.
Three Stooges. So
that was a good one.
Yeah. So did that. I am working on a couple of other videos. I am working on one on Robert Conrad and Gabe Kaplan, and another one on Gary Coleman. So those are probably, I don't know if those will be it's weird. I'll be working on a video and then all of a sudden I'll get just a wild hair and do a completely different one. So who knows what will be next. But that's what was published today. And I'm just enjoying the incredibly awesome community that we have here. And it's not just my community, it's our community, right, Ian? Right?
Yeah,
Thrash.
for sure.
And I enjoy this just as much as anything else. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop publishing videos, but I love. I thank you for the invite tonight, Ian.
Oh yeah.
We truly appreciate it. Love talking about Batman, and love hanging out with you and my buddy Thrash here. So thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
What do you got going on, Thrash? What do you got going on over at your channel?
Well, I have more of my infamous wretched recaps coming down the pike. We'll never stop telling dad jokes, but I've been also getting some pretty good traction with my new gimmick. I do a top 10 list of forgotten 80s song lyrics. Those songs that we all think we know all the words to, and they're like, oh no, I never did know that verse. And what I do is the 2 installments. The first installment is the questions, and then when you've stewed long enough, the next installment, I give you all the answers. Gives you a chance to actually mull it over, and I've been getting a lot of positive feedback with that. So I'm working on a 3rd installment of that. I have.
You mean it's not Rush? Don't go downtown. It's too scary.
Yes, you could put it that way. Yes. I have a collaboration coming up with Mr. Staten coming down the road on a surprise topic, but it's going to be.
Cannot wait. I cannot wait.
That's going to be fun.
The collab between Thrash Pondo and Danny Staten.
You can't wait. I can't wait either.
All right.
And Dave, if memory serves, I have another collaboration with another famous YouTube guru coming down the pike as well, don't we? I mean,
checks in the mail. Checks in the mail, Thrash. Hopefully, if it doesn't arrive in time, hopefully you'll still show up.
Right.
There you go. So that's where my channel is at the moment, and thank you for asking. And thank you. And guys in the chat, if you haven't subscribed, pretty please, sugar on top. I just hit 100. I'm shooting for 2.
Right on. That's how you go. You just go 100 at a time. And got a couple of questions here about updates for me. Just so you know, let's do channel updates first. I'm at 427 still. I lost a couple, then gained a couple. Let's get me to that 1,000. That would mean the world to me. I know everybody.
It was only like less than a year ago. You were at 100, right? Now you're quadruple that.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That's.
I
really
helped.
Good. Yes, of course.
I helped.
Well, you all helped. Right now, the watch time is at 1,963 hours. So you know what to do. I've got a couple of playlists. Let them play. Let them play. Play them all the way through. That would help me out there too, because there's the two things. A couple people asked about my wife. She's actually doing pretty good. We haven't heard that down. We haven't gotten to that downward. She's not like ready to go to the mall or anything. It's still not great, but it's not as terrible, as it might have been, or it's supposed to be by now anyway. So we went to the doctor today. They said her liver functions good, her kidney functions good, everything's good right now. So we're just plugging along with prayer and doing everything we possibly can. So really appreciate all that. And as far as channel stuff goes, I did 3 things that alternative rock has in common. And then I'm going to do 3 things that heavy metal has in common. And then next week, we're going to have Redbeard back on, and we're going to be talking about prog rock. We did a whole episode on what prog rock is, and it's going to be out. It's going to be out for the Honeycomb Hideout tomorrow, and then everybody else will be out the day after that. But that was quite an education on prog rock. So I look forward to that. And that's all we have for this evening. So thank you, everybody. All your comments and everything really do mean the world to me. This show is not what it is without you. We have such a great interactive audience. So I just want to say I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. And with that, we are going to go ahead and close out the show. Goodbye and good night, and stay safe.